Welcome to Mad About Money. I'm Maddy Alexander-Grout, and this is the podcast where we talk to interesting people all about their interesting money stories. I'm joined by Melanie Griffiths, who is a cancer survivor, a spiritual coach, and she helps people through healing and movement and all sorts of imaginative, great things that you would expect from somebody who's been through such a massive trauma. So, Melanie, it's lovely to have you on. Tell us a bit about you.
Oh, it's lovely to be here. Thank you. Oh, wow. So I love to move. I love to move my body, and movement has been a massive part of my health and well-being. It was a big piece of I was diagnosed with cancer, given 6 months to live about 20 years ago.
Oh, gosh, wow.
And I decided to heal myself holistically, or not, but I decided to go down the
To
holistic route.
try.
Yeah. And it worked. I'm still here.
A massive congratulations. And I'm very pleased to say that you're now on my podcast. So that's
Oh, no,
great.
it's really exciting. And it inspired me to want to help other women faced with trauma and health crises do the same, take charge of their health again, because I think it's something that we're not educated around in life.
No,
And yet actually by taking charge at earlier points in our life or health issues, we can offset things. So I was learning from my experience, and also going through the healing, all of the different pieces that I did to literally rewire myself. I always say I literally ripped the floorboards up of who I thought I was and rewired the system again.
amazing.
Yeah, it started from scratch. So
Well, I'm a great believer in health leads to wealth. And from
yes.
a money perspective, getting your mental health in a good place and your physical health by movement, and especially with like an ADHD brain for me. I started my walking journey. I mean, that sounds like I'm going somewhere really far. I'm not. Like, I just every single day I do like 20 minutes of walking, and just to set myself up for the day. It helps me from a kind of an energy perspective, from a mental health perspective, and it also helps me to know that I'm moving my body, because my brain is so fast that sometimes my body doesn't keep up with it as much. And I've got an autoimmune disease as well, so like I am a great believer in moving. I'm also a great believer in what I call the wiggle jiggles. So if you're stuck on Zoom calls or you're doing something, you just every so often you just need to do a bit of a wiggle jiggle. It helps.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well,
So
I would say to people, literally look at your body, look at all those joints and muscles and ligaments. We're not designed to sit still, and yet we do a lot of it.
yeah, I don't sit still very often. I think I'm a very big fidgeter. Hence why I've got a swingy chair, because I literally just, even when I'm sat on Zoom calls, I'm swinging, I'm doing something, I'm fiddling. Like, I think that's just the way that I operate. But I think movement is so very important. So it's lovely to have you on. Let's talk a bit about your money story. Where did it all begin for you?
Oh, wow. I've been unfolding that over the last few years. And it's so interesting because I put myself back together on a physical health issue, but the money piece, it's so fascinating, has been something I've been digging deep into in the last few years. And so I thought, and as I was going through that, I thought, well, I could heal myself of cancer. Why is the money piece so challenging? That's been something I've been going through. I was always a saver. I would say I had very low self-worth. And
Yeah,
these symptoms show up in different parts of our lives, don't they?
they
And
do.
we're not taught about money either. We're not taught about financial independence and looking after ourselves. So I was sort of grew up in the mentality of work hard, you'll make some a little bit if you work hard, and then you save, or as I now see it, as hoarding, because there was so much fear for me
Yeah.
saving, which I didn't realize. And it's only doing a lot of work in the last few years that I've started to sort of pull some of the threads loose and go,
Thing
oh,
is, I think a lot of people don't realize that money is a flow, and it's an energy flow. So by by sitting and hoarding all of the money, you're actually not allowing space for more. And it's a big mindset shift to think, but I've got all this money. I need all this money. But actually, are you enjoying your life? Are you making space for more? Is it stopping you from growing as a person? And I think that's really important to
Yeah,
identify.
yeah. And it's, I didn't realize for so long that that was actually blocking the flow. Um, and I also hadn't connected the relationship with myself with the relationship with money. Those were sort of separate pieces because I was, raised in that idea of cold hard cash. I think that's what it would have been called.
Yeah.
I almost wince now because I don't see it like that at all. And so it never, and I remember I have like these little bits of memories. I remember being 18 and I was doing a business course at college and going to the stock exchange in London. Now, this was when they were on the floor.
Yes. Yeah.
Only men. Yeah, it was only men, and they were on the floor. And I found it really exciting, but there was really nowhere to go with that. And I now realize I was always interested in money as a
Mm.
flow, what it does, um, what you can do with it in the world, you know. Yeah.
And that's something that I'm very, very passionate about. The more money that you make, the more good you can do.
Yes.
And that's always been my mentality, because I think from a young age, I was actually of the mindset that, rich people were bad people.
Yeah.
Rich people are not bad people. Like, I mean, yes, if you're a bad person, you're going to be a bad person regardless of how much money you've got.
Yeah.
But when you have more money, you can help other people, you can do more things, you can get the thing that you're passionate about out there, and you can actually support people through that journey.
Yeah.
So yeah, I very much agree. So with the cancer, I mean, that must have been a financial burden on you.
Oh yeah. I mean, I literally, I would say I was held by the universe at that time on that level. I really was, because I was in a situation. I was living in the US at the time. I was married, not in a I wasn't happy in the situation. I wasn't really working, so I had no real income coming in. So when
Mm,
I made the decision to heal holistically and it involved coming back to the UK and moving back in with family, I was literally, or it felt like, at the mercy of everyone else.
yeah.
And I had no income. I had no connection to that, and was reliant on family support and my what was to become my ex-husband as well, the support there. Took a long time for me to start, and again, I don't think the understanding around money has only really happened in the last 5 years.
Because people don't talk about it.
No.
This is my my biggest passion, getting people to talk about money, warts and all. The last podcast we had on, Chris Stewart, we were talking about businesses failing and how people just don't talk about it. And it's so important to talk about everything money related, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's, people being millionaires, whether it's people not having any money at all. The more we talk about this, the more we can educate each other, the more we can grow, the more we can actually grow our own money as well. So I mean, thank God you moved from America. I mean, that would have been an incredibly pricey situation if you'd have been dealing with all of that cancer stuff when you were over there.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it was um I would say I wouldn't have been able to stay in that situation. The family that I was married into wanted me to go down a conventional route and were
mm,
prepared. They had money and were prepared to pay for me to go to a very exclusive clinic, the Mayo Clinic, I think it's called, has a big reputation. But I knew so it's almost like it wasn't about money. I thought I have
yeah.
to listen and trust, and somehow the universe will hold me going through what I want to do, which
And
it,
your and bodies are amazing things.
yeah, yeah,
I think also it, like, without sound, I mean, I'm quite a spiritual person anyway. But for me, a lot of the time when you're going through something, even if it's a health thing, it's about mindset.
Yeah,
And it's about focusing on the fact that you're going to get through that. And, I do believe that the universe has our back. And,
I
you know,
do.
whatever we do will, if we have faith in the process, it will come back to us. So,
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
what did you do then from a spiritual perspective to get over your cancer?
I would say it's a combination of things. The first thing I did after the diagnosis was I sat for about a week, and I would say when I went in and out of meditation, I didn't really talk to anyone because I thought I need to kind of draw my energy back. At this point, I was working with doctors who were suggesting radical hysterectomy.
Oh gosh.
I had cervical cancer, and I knew I didn't want to go through any of that. And I thought, but I also knew I needed to somehow pull myself in to feel that divine strength coming through.
Yes.
And that's what I did. And I came out of this week and I thought, I know two things. I need to go back to the UK and I need to leave this marriage. And that's what I did. So it started. And like any good journey, you don't see the whole pathway. You just get that sort of 200 yards in front with the headlights kind of thing. So I
Yeah.
went back in with family and I thought, I think there were so many different things I did. I did some research online before I left the US, and I came across this woman in Florida who'd had a similar diagnosis to me, healed herself holistically, and gone on to be a therapist herself. And we had a chat, and I thought, she's not right for me to work with. I know that, but I needed the conversation to back
Yeah.
the path I wanted to take. So I had that in the back of my mind, came back, and I started to do some research. I went in, I did some dietary things. I went on a very strict vegan diet for about 6 months, um, which is ironic as I'd grown up with eating disorders and had healed from all of that. So my body was like, we don't want to do another diet. We've just come through all of that. But the thinking with that is it starves the tumors. So the thinking is that they feed off of sugar, salt, fat. And so,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, the thinking is, unfortunately, I didn't stay on that for too long. It was about 6 months. And I took up, so I'm a mover, but was not moving. I wasn't doing
Mm.
movement. But I'd been out for a walk one day, and this was when I was still in Maine. And I literally heard this voice in my head say, I want to go faster. And I thought, oh, I think I want to start. And I took up running. So
Okay.
I've never been a runner, and I became a runner. And that first year, every day for the first year, I I literally ran through cancer that first year. I wrote an article
Wow.
about it for a running magazine. So it was a lot of different things, and I dealt with family relationships. I dealt with the inside of my own head. I journaled. I meditated. I took the components of what we think of body, mind, spirit, and emotions, and worked on all the different areas over about 4 years. And there was a morning I woke up and I thought, I think it's time to go get a smear test. And I hadn't been working with doctors.
So you had no pain
No
or
med- I had no medical
wow.
intervention. I just focused on literally, we talk about this staying in your own lane.
Yeah.
And I'd had a history. I'd had a load of training out in California where I'd lived prior to the East Coast around mind body connection. So I knew what was possible. I'd been training in the arena and I knew the theory. So when I got the diagnosis, it was okay, this is showtime. Let's see if this works, was literally how I was thinking.
That's just incredible. I mean, so I've also had cervical cancer. So well, yes and no. So basically I've had three sets of precancerous cells. So my first ones were when I was 23. I was at university. Like now they don't even test for it before you're 25. So, that could have been me gone. I had laser surgery that time. Then I had it again in 2012. Had laser surgery, it came back. And then I had half of my cervix removed.
Okay.
And when they removed it, they were like, that was cancerous. They took out all the cancer, there was nothing left. I was on 6 monthly biopsies for 3 years or something after that.
Mm.
Um, but they said I didn't need any treatment. And now I've been free of it for, where are we now? To 2020. So yeah, it's been 11 years, 12 years. Um, but it was an incredibly stressful time in my life. But the reason I went the second time when I had the laser surgery and then it came back was because I was in a lot of pain.
Mm.
I just had this like horrible dull ache anytime I did the sexy time. And it was painful. It was
Yeah.
horrible. I knew there was something wrong.
Yeah.
So that was why I went and looked at it. But
Yeah.
just your brain telling you that you needed to go and get a smear test.
Yeah.
That's powerful. That's so powerful. Like bodies do the weirdest things. Like,
Yeah. And they are amazing.
yeah,
And they are, I kind of see them as liquid light. So, you know, we think of them as solid, but but I see it as liquid light. So when you think of it like that, it's so much more malleable.
yes, it is. I
And
mean,
then
so it also
yeah.
yeah, it also reminds me. So when I was giving birth to my daughter, I went in for my induction, got induced, um, felt really weird. I felt odd, like it was strange. My contractions started really quickly, like really, really quickly. And then I asked for an epidural. So they came in, they gave me an epidural. Like 40 minutes later, I'm like, why am I in so much pain? Why is this not working? And they were like, well, you've had an epidural. That's, that's it now. I had this tiny little bit on my leg, like the size of a 50p piece that was numb, and the rest of me, I could feel everything, and it was horrific. But my body basically went, no, you can't have this because your daughter is going to die if you have this. So basically, my body blocked, like
Yeah.
completely blocked the epidural. And my daughter was born when I was at 7 centimeters. Like basically, my body was like, she needs out now. So don't even ask me about the damage that caused. But she came out and she wasn't alive. She needed resuscitating. And it took them 8 minutes to resuscitate her. But if I'd have had that epidural, my body wouldn't have known that it needed to get her out. So it's like that. I
Yeah.
see what you mean with the light thing. It's like,
Yeah.
and every time I think of like what could have happened if that epidural worked, it doesn't bear thinking about, and it's scary.
I
Um,
know.
but
And
our
there's,
bodies are crazily miraculous.
I know, and we're not taught any of this.
No.
We're not raised in, I mean, when I think about movement and how key that is for my health and well-being, and all that was available when I was growing up was performance style dancing.
Mm,
For me, really disconnected me from my body. And it was when I was in my 20s and 30s that I started to find reconnection in another form of kind of, it's dance like lyrical movement, but without that kind of performance element to it. So it allowed me to kind of connect and feel. And I think
yeah,
that's not taught. We're taught it's, especially in the West, it's not okay to feel. And actually, it's crucial to feel. That's how we know whether we're
exactly that. Yeah.
so.
Oh,
And
that's
your
good. So
story is
so
amazing.
how did you decide then that you wanted to coach? Was it just literally the fact that you've been through all of that and you wanted to help other people in similar situations?
So I'd always been, I'd say growing up, I was always the someone that would be the listener in a friendship group. So there was that piece of me. And then when I was out in California, I trained at a place called the Berkeley Psychic Institute, which is a bit like Hogwarts. And I learned how to use my clairvoyance intuition to
Oh
look at
wow.
someone's energy field um, and see what was going
Oh, what
on.
does mine look like?
I'm not looking at the moment.
Oh, I love it. I love all of that stuff. It's really exciting. Someone told me that it was purple once.
Well, so the colours are likely to change in your energy field.
Okay.
Yeah, they will change depending on what's going on with your health and well-being. And if you, so we used to have, they had psychic fairs once a month, and they would always have an aura camera. So it was quite fascinating to get your photograph every month and see how your aura was moving.
That's
And
amazing. Yeah, I find that really fascinating.
so I did all this training, which was really good fun. But there was a point that I thought, well, this is all very well, but what can you do with it?
Mm,
How can I serve really? How can I help? So I think I've always been a natural born healer, So when I came through, or was coming through the cancer, I was, I think what kicked it off was I was in touch with some of my teachers from that time. And somebody said to me, you need to be reading. You need to be
Mm.
reading and healing. It's part of it's part of who you are. So I was really, really nervous. And I thought, oh, I don't know if I can do this. It's a big thing. But I made this little card and put it in the local shop about doing readings. And I started to get people coming in, and I started doing clairvoyant reading. And that space evolved. So it started off with me just looking at the energy field. And then I realized that I wanted to have it, I wanted it to be broader. I wanted it to be more interactive. I didn't want to be, and I also I'm not a fan of readings that say, oh, you know, in 10 years' time, you're going to meet someone with this color hair. And
Yeah.
I began to realize in doing the readings is if we looked at the state of someone's energy field in the here and now, and then we looked at possible pathways they were looking at as a spirit. And I said, right, these are your options. This is what's showing up. If you do this, you'll go here. If you do this, you'll go there. Their free will then kicks in and changes their path moving forwards.
Yeah.
And that is what allows someone to create their health and well-being. So it sort of evolved over time into a place where I really now work best with people who are dealing with some level of trauma or a health crisis. And we look at their energy field and we look at where the disconnections are. How is it playing out in their lives? They
Mm.
might show me. So what I will see is I will see mental image pictures or colors, or sometimes past lives will show up, that if it's relevant. And it doesn't matter whether the person I'm looking at believes in past lives as a theory, because really it's the imagery that I'm reading in that allows me to receive the information to say,
Yeah.
basically, there's a disconnect here. And then
And
some,
can you do that over Zoom, or is it a face-to-face thing?
yeah, no, I do it all over Zoom now because I record the sessions,
Yeah.
and then somebody has a recording of the session afterwards that they can go back and listen to, because often there's so much coming up and it's moving
Yes.
all the time because it's not a solid thing. So I'm going, oh, this, oh, that's moved, da, da, da. And then when they go and listen afterwards or watch afterwards, they can take it all in on that conscious level. But
Yeah.
unconsciously, the minute we're sat in that agreement, stuff is shifting already.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's kind of how it works.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So how does spirituality and money connect? How can people be more mindful of their money with
Oh,
spirituality?
I think it's a big, it's, you know what, this is an area I'm still working through, because one of the things I hit with spirituality is if you're spiritual, it's not okay to have money. Like there was something dirty about money. And if you're
Yes.
spiritual, you're pure. But that is exactly what I've been working through over the last few years, that actually, because money is an energy flow, like you were saying, it is spiritual. It's just not, I think sometimes people think of spirituality as religion with another label.
Yeah,
It's,
and it's so not that, is
it's
it?
not
Like, I mean,
that. It's just really
I'm
knowing
the
yourself.
yeah, I'm the least religious person, but I believe in the universe and I believe
Exactly.
in healing and spirituality, and like I've got loads of crystals and I love tarot cards and all that. I
Yes.
mean, it's not Satanism, like, you know, because I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, you know, either you're religious, if you're spiritual, you must believe in the devil and all of this stuff. And I'm like, no, like it's not
Apply
that.
that
It's
religious, yeah, they apply that religious mindset to it.
yes.
So I think it's something to do with the word, but it's really just knowing yourself, being so connected. And I think money is the same. It's a nurturing space.
It
So if
is.
you're kind to yourself and you're kind to money, and I have literally noticed this in the last few years, as my relationship with money has shifted, as I have been thankful for every penny that comes in and every penny that goes out, it grows and flows.
Yeah. And it's such an important thing to think about. It's, that the flow of energy, the flow of money, and your mindset towards all of it. Like, I think, I wouldn't have got out of £40,000 worth of debt twice, if I hadn't have had the mindset and the capability to do that, and I hadn't believed that what I was doing was possible. So how do people work with you, and what kind of work do you do with people? Apart
So
from the aura stuff, like, tell me more about that and how people can kind of work with you.
I'm working one-to-one on Zoom, and they can work with me either just in one-off sessions, or I have a 6-session package called Supercharge Your Life, where we look at, I call it the 6 magic modules: movement, mindset, meditation and energy work, meals, and me time. And these are the main areas that I feel make up underpin our health and
Yeah.
well-being. So in all of those areas, we work on different things. So I've got that package, and also I run classes. I run classes online, movement sessions. I'm also running holidays and wellbeing weekends. We literally just had a wellbeing
Oh,
weekend
nice.
on the Isle of Wight, where we delved into movement, mindset, and meditation. So people came for the weekend, got involved in that, and it's a weekend to step out of life as you know it and reset your energy.
Yeah.
It's a
Which is
resetting
so
time.
important, like,
Yeah,
just, from a business perspective, from a parenting perspective, from
yeah.
a neurodivergent perspective, just anybody, you do need to step out of your life once in a while and actually reconnect. So I think that's
Busy people, I
amazing.
think, aren't we? We're busy, and we wear
Yeah,
these different hats. And I think especially as women, we are the nurturers by nature.
we are indeed. We
So
are.
we automatically give to everything around us that asks. And
Yeah.
I really noticed as I was going through my own healing is that I wanted to create safe spaces for women to nurture themselves, to come and be part of something through movement, through mindset and meditation, and have that container with a timetable that they can dip in and out of in that time.
Mm.
And running a holiday to India in October,
Oh, wow.
movement wellbeing. And we've done Crete and Turkey, and it's an opportunity for people to come, to just be, to make new friends, eat great food if that's what they want, to get involved in all the classes, some of the classes, none of the classes,
Mm.
and but it becomes a safe space to really start to tap into yourself as a person. But my special area is women, because it's been my female health that is underpinning all of it,
Yes. Yeah.
really.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So how do people find you?
I am on Facebook, Melanie Griffiths. I've got the famous name, which is, I don't know. So, mind you, I imagine some people probably don't remember her. This is a name.
I do. Yeah, I
Remember.
do.
Yeah, yeah.
She
So
was a
I'm
TV presenter, wasn't she?
no
No?
actress in Married to Don Johnson,
Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Antonio
yeah.
Banderas. Yeah. Um, so I'm on Facebook, Melanie Griffiths on LinkedIn, and then Movement Melanie on Instagram.
Amazing. Have you got a website as well?
Yes, melaniegriffiths.com.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. It's been so great to have you.
I love
Guys, if you're listening, go and follow Melanie if you want to know more about working with her. I think I do after that. So it's really nice to have somebody different on talking about a different perspective. So guys, if you're listening to this on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Music, please hit the subscribe button. Make sure that you give us a follow. And make sure that you download the Mad About Money app if you haven't already. It's a free to use app that will help you wherever you are in your journey with money, whether you're saving, getting out of debt, whether you're starting a business or a side hustle. If money is something that you want to learn how to make more of and how to grow, then that's where you need to be. And it's not just about the money side. It's about everything that links back. So your health and well-being, your fitness, your diet, your nutrition, your parenting skills. So it's not just boring budgeting sort of stuff. So go and check it out. Give me a follow, Maddy Alexander-Grout on LinkedIn and Mad About Money Official on TikTok. We will see you guys next week. Thanks for listening.